welcome back to the Popcorn Perspective. It's your host Jay and AK. Ooh, AK. And finale of Rings of Power was called Shadow and Flame. What were your thoughts?
Gotta say that opening shot, amazing. That opening cold open before the credits had me so invested in the episode, but there's a lot that I did not like with this episode. It started off
That
perfect.
that scene you're referring to is the best scene of the entire series.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it vague here. We're trying to just
Yeah,
give you like a brief couple of segments here just on non-spoiler, and then we're getting more into the spoiler stuff. But yeah, I
yeah.
think it opened up so strong. I think the episode as a whole was one of the stronger episodes of the series so far.
Yeah.
But there were just a couple of issues I had with the season, with the episode that just kind of pissed me off.
hmm Yeah, so we actually get quite a lot of progression on where we want to be for season three. So
Mhm.
I definitely enjoyed that. We kind of rounded off the Grey Wizard or the Stranger or whatever. We have brought everything to a point where I should have been. This honestly should have been maybe a little earlier, like some of these things should have been wrapped up a lot quicker. But yeah, overall, a solid episode, and I'm super psyched for season three.
Yeah, it definitely ended on such a high note where it made you want season three immediately, which I think is a good thing in writing. If you can do that at the season finale, at the last like 10 minutes of the episode, it's it's a good way to build trust for season three onwards.
Agreed. All right. So why don't we get into breakdown? So this is going to be spoiler after this, and
Yes.
then we can get into specifics of what we really liked and maybe things that we need
Yeah.
some help with.
You started off. What was your favorite part of the whole episode? Let's
Okay,
start
cool. So
very
why don't we
broad.
just start with the best scene of the entire series, which was Durin's Bane.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
and the reason I actually like this is, according to the lore, the
It was like
fall
during
of
the
Durin,
sixth.
yeah, during the sixth, it happens much, much later, like well into the third age, I believe.
It was like the beginning of the third age because this was during third, so during
Yeah,
fourth, so his son's son. Yeah.
yeah.
So two generations
So
next, yeah.
this actually did a pretty good job. I do have a question about it though towards the end, but that scene with the Balrog, oh my god,
Well, you might as
that
well
was
let's go ahead
awesome.
and break that down. Like, what was the thing that you want to talk about? Because let's go ahead and focus on the Balrog as a whole. Where was your note that you wanted to mention later?
Yeah, okay. So I'm curious if you see in the place that you're living, there's a motherfucking Balrog underneath you, and you're like, yeah, we're still gonna build our kingdom here.
Yeah. No,
I
I
don't
I,
know,
I
man.
thought I
That's
thought that
like
was kind
very
of odd, but it's kind of like old ancient times when some big destruction or something happens,
like a
they kind of use
volcano.
that. Yeah, they kind of look at that like as a religious meaning or a religious ideology. So they might play it into a more religious thing where they like we don't want to piss off the Bane. We don't want to dwell more, so we're going to keep as we are and let him have his peace. We have our peace, which I do think is going to play. So I'll be honest, I don't think this was Duran's Bane. Obviously, Duran the Third is unfortunately he passed away in that amazing slow mo shot. But I do think Duran Bane will still happen eventually when the dwarves get greedy or like get to a point where they need more mithril to fight Sauron and H3.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Talking
So
about
they
the Balrog
oh
though, oh my gosh,
that was beautiful.
that
That
was
was
epic. And this version is slightly different than what we got
yeah, because
in
he has like
Rings.
more shadowy
He's got the
wings.
wings in a sense,
Yeah.
sort of. And Tolkien kind of left it a little open if he has wings, if he doesn't have wings. But obviously, his wings are not strong enough to carry him too forward. It's more just to like help him descend and his fall.
It seems like because he's been under the mountain, under the earth for so long that he just probably doesn't have that freedom to expand and actually
hmm
fly. So, and it did seem like he didn't care enough to break through because after the destruction caused, he didn't push back. It kind of ended that clip. So I feel like
Mhm.
he's content guarding the mithril, which kind of plays
Yeah.
into what happened in season one. Do you remember that flashback regarding season one?
No, I don't recall that.
It was how mithril was created by the
Oh
tree, the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
light, and the darkness
Yes.
fighting, and it looks like now the darkness and the light has to coexist together, and I think that's what the whole meaning of the Balrog guarding the mithril is basically the dark and light coexisting together.
Yeah, no.
That's what
Uh
my take out of it. I might be over
Maybe. No,
analyzing it.
that's super interesting. Uh Overall that was fantastic scene. I hate
It
seeing King Durin die because he was an awesome character,
Yeah,
but
and Peter Mullen, he just killed it.
yeah.
I'm not sure. Have you seen anything he's been in, Peter Mullen, the actor who played
Ah,
during the third?
Probably I'm just not
Yeah.
remembering anything right
Okay.
now.
He's has such an iconic like voice, and I still
Yeah.
remember from Westworld. He's one of my favorite. Like he has this one amazing scene in Westworld where like they're like um trying to prolong his life, and he's has a little bit of dementia. So Westworld's all about robots and AI and artificial intelligence and all that fun stuff, machine learning, but they continue on these tests, and the whole time we think it's only been a couple of months, and then like it reveals that this has been going on for almost like 50, 60 years. And he's long
Jesus.
dead, and now he's just reborn into as an AI robot that they're trying to implant his memories. It was such a cool scene how he just changed from like a human automatically to like actual robot who's just trying to remember all of Peter Mullen's memories. So he's such a great
Jeez.
actor. He
Yeah.
killed it as King Durin.
I guess the one benefit we get is whenever we talk about Khazad-dûm moving forward, when we
Yeah, we don't
refer
have to
to
mention
Durin, we'll
multiple
know
Durin.
who we're referring to.
I guess since we're on the whole Khazad-dûm Dorf storyline, I gotta say the thing that kind of irritates me the most was at the towards the end of the episode we have Durin and a couple of his men's
Mhm.
and his wife Disa, and they were like, we gotta, I'm mourning. My father just died," and she's like, "Well, get, we gotta move forward because your brother is apparently trying to take claim of the throne." And I was
Right.
like, "When did he have a brother? Why? It just you never mentioned him that
Yes.
I recall. We never seen him in 2 seasons. We don't need that additional conflict in Cause of Doom, do we?"
So, if you realize the writers actually wrote themselves into a corner,
Hmm.
um, they made the Dwarven rings corrupt the king so extremely and
Yeah.
so quickly that it just makes no sense for Durin or Prince Durin,
Hmm.
who is vying to be King Durin, to then send these rings that he knows is going to corrupt a lot of these kings.
Yes.
So that's why
So,
if the second son comes, his only goal is I want to be in power, so I'm going to disperse these rings. That's I think
oh,
that's why they wrote
huh.
in a second son
To write
or
himself
whatever.
out of that bubble. So basically, he's going to use
Yes,
that to play for power. So he's going to sell those
yes,
rings off to.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, because
Yep.
that was going to be another issue I had with Cause of Doom is the rings were so powerful and corruptible that Durin the Fourth knows about its issues. He's not going
Yeah,
to
he's
go
not going to
willingly and
give it to
hand them
anyone.
out, and he's
Yeah,
not going to wield it himself. So, because this season we had the three elves wield the ring just like how they had it in the Peter Jackson Fellowship of the Ring prologue. They showed the three with their hands out, and we still haven't got that scene with the dwarves, all nine of them with their axes holding their ring. So that might happen then. You might be right. That might be him using his men or like using people for power. He's handing them out. That could
yeah,
be interesting to see. Okay. If they write it properly, I might be okay with the scene.
yeah. But I agree with you, dude. It's again, if the writing was better,
Hmm.
you wouldn't have this issue. We could have had a slightly more streamlined Khazad-dûm because Numenor and Farazan's story is going to be huge in season three.
Yes.
How are you gonna do two political things, one on Khazad-dûm and one on Numenor? I think it's going to be a
And they're
challenge,
so
and I'm a
isolated.
little concerned.
Yeah. They're so isolated. They're across the continent, across the world. One is in Numenor in that island city, and one is like in Khazad-dûm underneath the mountains across the whole Middle Earth. So it's if it was kind of like how it was in Game of Thrones, where everything was somewhat related,
Yeah,
the king of the north, the king of the south, they all and wanted to take down whoever was the King's Landing. So it kind of connected. This will have no connection, so it's gonna be weird to write two politics like political wars going on.
Yeah,
And I hope they're not too similar. I hope they don't just play like, oh, one is evil, one is good, and the good has to overcome the evil because it will be too repetitive.
I agree. And that's the main criticism of the show. It's the writing, right? And
Yeah.
we're gonna have to see how they handle it. How they're gonna handle the gravity, how they're gonna handle the political, social differences of it. So it's gonna be very
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, I mean, I think that's all I have for the most part to do with to say about the Cause of Doom. I
Yeah.
loved most of it. I had that small issue, like the world for the world. I think we both had that
Yeah.
issue. Was there another area that was a highlight for you, like something that caught your eye that you just loved watching on
Okay,
it on screen?
so I didn't love it per se, but I think it's safe to now move on to Gandalf. We finally got in the quote unquote reveal that it's Gandalf, even though we've known it since season one.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's done. I'm concerned for the actor who plays Gandalf.
So he
Uh,
is.
he's
Have
good,
you?
right?
Yeah,
Like I've
he's
actually
so.
enjoyed his portrayal, but
Yeah.
with Ian
The
McKellen, right?
yeah.
Who plays
Mhm.
Gandalf. He's going to be playing Gandalf in a movie coming up pretty soon, which is
But
them searching
that's
for.
about maybe 50 to 100 years before
No, no,
the
no,
events of Fellowship.
yeah, no, that's totally fine. What I'm
So
trying
this
to
is
say is he's gonna have to keep looking up to such a great actor
oh yeah
who's
yeah he's
portrayed
kind of
Gandalf
yeah.
so well for so long. People will keep comparing him, and that's the part that I kind of feel bad for him.
Oh yeah, he's always going to be in the shadows of Ian
Yes.
McKellen, and unfortunately, and that's the same thing that the X-Men crew is going to have. X that whenever Marvel releases their cast on who they picked for the X-Men, they're
With
always going to be
Patrick Stewart,
compared.
yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart. They're always going to compare to who played Magneto. They're going, Ian
Yes.
McKellen as well. Yeah, so it sucks, and I hope now that Daniel Raymond's character's name has been officially revealed to be Gandalf. I hope he kind of just takes it its own direction. There's no need to
Yeah.
replicate what's already been done. Make it your own.
Yeah, because you are technically a young, slightly naive, if he hasn't gotten all his memories back,
Exactly.
Gandalf. So yeah, they could take it more in that way.
And just like how the Belwark has a slightly updated design, some of
Hmm.
the locations has been slightly updated and like changed up slightly, like the just the scenes and all that like, is slightly different to how we saw it in the actual Lord of the Rings. We can just have this as its own universe. It doesn't have to be connected to the Peter Jackson universe. It can be its own prologue to whatever they want to do. It doesn't have to. You don't have to always connect it to something that's been previously. Make it your
Yeah,
own.
agreed. Right? And I think now that we're talking about Gandalf, let's move on to something that was probably the dumbest they've done this season, the Dark Wizard or whatever.
Okay,
I,
so
I've just not been a fan.
do
Like
you know who
the
the
story
do
doesn't
you know
go
who this
anywhere.
actor do you know who this actor is who plays him the Dark
No,
Wizard?
I'm drawing
It's
a blank.
Syrian Hinds. He played characters like Mance Raider, Aberforth Dumbledore, in the Deathly Hallow movies.
Okay.
He's a great actor. Like if you just watch any Game of
Yeah.
Thrones or Mance Raider during season 2 and season 3, he is such a fantastic, compelling actor. Why did they just make him into this like big eye, bumbling, weird, dark
I
wizard
don't.
who's obviously bad? Yet I
Yeah, it's
don't care.
comically bad, right?
Is he? That's what I'm saying.
And it's dumb as shit. He's like, "Oh, I'm also against Sauron." It's like, "Oh, you're not gonna join me? You're not gonna take over the world?" It's like
Yeah,
you
he's
don't.
like I
Like, what
don't.
the hell
He's
are you
like
talking about, dude?
he literally has. So, do you know anything about how Saruman was written in the books versus how it was in the Peter Jackson's films?
Depending on which phase we're going through, I know a
Okay.
little bit. Yeah.
Well, in the trilogy, the books, Saruman actually had that same plan. He was going to team up with Sauron. And the moment he has his hands on the ring, he's going to turn on Sauron and take control and rule Middle Earth as his own,
Hmm.
Saruman. It's exactly same plot line they gave in the Dark Wizard.
Cool. So, do you think that? Do you think the Dark Wizard is Saruman?
So actually, the showrunners clarified that it's not, but the way they said it was kind of ominous, like they still don't know. They were kind of
They
like
don't know. They don't know.
that's what it sounds. So I didn't watch the interview. I read the quotation, like the actual like transcript of the interview, but it was something along the lines like, currently there's no plans to make him Saruman, something along those lines. And I was
Okay,
like,
they shouldn't make him Saruman because that makes
no,
no freaking sense.
why
Saruman
would he
was
be
good.
the lead of the order? Like that's the whole point of
Yes,
fellowship. He's like, I'm going to meet with the lead of my order to discuss what we're going to do next. And
and
why would you?
Saruman was a force of good. That
Yeah,
is the reason Gandalf even trusted him.
he was corrupted by
Okay,
the
granted, if we go
Palantir.
back,
That's how.
it's
Yeah,
like Galadriel wanted Gandalf to be the lead, but anyways, we can get that when
yeah,
we get
yeah.
there. But that's the thing. They cannot make the Dark Wizard, who's comically bad,
I
to be
hope they make
Saruman.
him into a blue wizard who lost his way because
Yeah.
we can just go out and say maybe he got separated from the second blue wizard, so then he kind of had to grasp powers to try finding the blue wizard. We can just have some kind of bullshit ending for that character.
Yeah.
And I don't mind if like in by season 3 he comes back to his senses because whatever happens and then they actually work together. It could be kind of cool to see multiple wizards on the side of good versus just having the same. Yeah,
Yeah. So I can see that. My thing is, it's another freaking plotline that we have to bear with.
yeah.
And
Do you
I
think?
want Gandalf to be with the elves. Like I want him to be
Yes,
in the actual
I
narrative drive.
because we
Not
saw
whatever the
from
hell he's
the
doing.
Hobbit in that unknowingly
Yeah.
plot line with the necromancer that Gandalf and Elrond and Saruman and Sauron, not Sauron, I apologize, Saruman and Gandalf, all four of them like fought the necromancer. And it was a kind of a it was a dumb plot line, but it was a cool
Or
scene.
in the
And
Hobbit.
yeah, the Hobbit, yeah. And I really want to get Gandalf meeting Elrond for the first time, meeting Galadriel for the
Yeah.
first time. Like that's what I want to see. I don't want to see him meet a blue nameless wizard. So another issue I had though with that whole Easterling plot line. So about 3 episodes, the last time we saw Gandalf and Tom Bombadil. No, no, two times, 2 episodes before we saw, whatever. It's like 3 or 4 episodes ago. Tom Bombadil was like, he heard some like horses in the background. It's like, oh, the Dark Wizard is coming. It looks like it. I trained him once upon a time. And then the next time we see Gandalf and Tom Bombadil, they're in like a dead forest, and then he's like, oh, you can go in that forest and find your staff. And then this episode, he's somehow now across that again, and he's finding where the hobbits are at. Why does he keep jumping around this continent?
So it is still part of the East, right?
Well, it's still
They're
part of
not.
the East,
Yeah.
but he went down to the dead forest to find his staff, but we never see him go into the forest. Like he walks down the path, and then next time we see him, he found where the hobbits were staying at. Because remember, he never knew where the hobbits vanished after the tornado,
Yeah. Magic.
which kind of killed Tom Bombadil's lesson. He's like, "Oh, I was testing you, and I wanted to see if you'll choose your friends over choosing power." And I was
Yeah.
like, "No," because he had no idea. Like, unlike I mentioned that last episode with Star
No,
Wars.
I think it was. I think as the viewers, we are supposed to take the fact that he chose not to go look for his staff. He did go try to save his friends.
No, but the thing is so unlike I mentioned this with last week with Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, he had a vision of Cloud City and he knew the planet, name, everything. Luke
Hmm.
Skywalker. And when Yoda's like, it's either you can complete your training or you can potentially go risk your life saving your friends, he knew where the location was.
Hmm.
Here, he didn't get the ultimatum, and he had no idea where his friends were at. If he knew where his friends were at, it's a different story. He just randomly ventured into the store's hideout.
I don't think it was random. I think it was planned.
We just didn't see it.
Yes, exactly. I want to believe that he did make the conscious decision, but yes, it wasn't well done because these writers need extra time. I don't know. I don't know what they need.
I think this
Two
show would have
years?
been. I think both season one and season two would have been a lot better with the 10 episode season, because this show is very dialogue heavy and very just like
It is, but
it. I feel
it
like a
doesn't
lot
go
of it
anywhere.
exactly, and I feel like with 10 episodes, we can have 4 episodes of build up, and then the next 4 episodes of like the aftermath of that build up, and if they can be
Hmm.
split out a little more evenly, and we can actually have the sacking of a Region in 1 episode versus spreading it slightly within 2.5, 3 episodes instead, because it kind of drags it.
It did.
Yeah. So I think,
Yes.
and then that could also we could have had like a 5 minute segment of Gandalf walking into the forest, and then like getting a small vision of the stories. And he's like, "Oh, I know where that's
Where
at,"
they
and just
are.
walks back
Right.
up, and then cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think with an
Um,
additional 2 episodes, and each episode does not need to be an hour 20. Considering, like you said, it doesn't go anywhere most of the time.
Another positive though is it seems like we're done with the hobbits. It seems like
Yeah,
they've gone their own merry way.
I think we
Great.
might
That should have
follow
been
them.
done
Yeah,
last season.
I think we might see them once or twice next season, like
Yeah, I see them
in the
here and
first
there.
episode, establishing like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna try finding the my old tribe, and then the end episode they reunite and we get all the old cast members back and be like, oh, cool, I remember
Yes.
all these guys. That's kind of happy. Everything else is hell, so we get a little joy. But I hope that's how it is. Just have two
Yeah,
episodes, kind of like
for
what they did
sure.
with Lord of the Rings. We saw the Hobbits and Shire for like 20 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes of the last movie, we get back to the Shire. Like,
We get Numenor, right? We
yes,
get Al
yes.
Farazan or Al
Our first
Farazan
one,
and
yeah.
Muriel, and it's basically the conflict between her loyalists and him.
I
How
had
are they
another
handling
big
it?
complaint. I don't like it.
Yes, I don't like
It
it.
seems way too rushed. And as somebody, as you know, I was a big Numenor like storyline fan. Like from season
Yes,
one and like the beginning of season two, I love Numenor.
it felt like there was dynamic characters. It felt like there was
It
growth
felt lived in
opportunity.
because like this is like the first time that you see like a moving city. Like we saw Region like season one, we saw like
Yeah,
Linden, but we didn't stay there. We
we didn't
stayed
really get
in
the scale of it at
yeah,
all. At least here we kind of got a glimpse of the
and
scale
we
of
were in
Numenor.
Numenor for like 3 to 4 episodes in season one, so we
Yeah,
actually explored the city. So I loved the
yeah,
city, and I loved everything
yeah.
about it, the characters.
The dumbest fucking citizens, I'm not gonna lie though.
Yeah. How many times did they change sides?
Oh my
Ban
god,
the elf! Join the elf! Ban the
they're
elf! Okay,
so
we'll fight.
fickle. It's my guys, come on. The elves are gonna take our jobs. It's like, why would the elves
Oh,
take your jobs?
that had me dying. The elves are going to take our job and trade. They don't want your trade.
What are you talking about?
Galadriel was born before the first age. She's 1,000 years old. She don't give a shit about your.
I guess it's a way of showing xenophobia because they don't know
Yeah.
anything about the elves, but they're just scared. So I
No, no, 100%. Yeah,
fair.
but
But
it could
there
have
was
done.
one scene I loved in this
Oh yeah,
in
I know exactly what you're
Numenor.
talking. Nazgul.
Yes, yes, it was the way the way Elendil
Hmm.
draws out the sword. Very reminiscent
Very
of
iconic.
Aragon. Yes.
Yes,
And
and
it makes sense. Like paying homage to Lord of the Rings that way makes sense because
yeah.
Aragon is a reincarnation in a sense
Well,
of
he's
him.
an ancestor. That's his ancestor. I
No,
wouldn't say
I know, but like
reincarnation,
his
but he's like
nobility and his character,
yeah, he's
it's
very
not
aligned to
passed
Elendil's.
on in his lineage until he gets to
What?
Aragon.
No, you can't say that though, because we really only know about one additional lineage, and that's Isildur. And Isildur, the moment his
Yes,
dad died, got corrupted a ring, and they
yeah,
were casted out of Gondor because of that situation, right?
he
After
wasn't
he became,
casted out of
well, no, when
Gondor.
he died, the
Right.
his generation
Yes,
was
yes,
yeah
yes.
casted out because he ruled Gondor to hell with the ring. So I mean,
Hmm.
you can't say his that family like the nobility didn't travel on. It's just
Yeah, but I
nobody had the
think
opportunity
it's
to take that mantle.
okay. Fine, fair. I think what I'm trying to say is history might not repeat, but it rhymes, and
Yes, yeah.
I liked paying that sort of homage instead of Tom Bombadil a few episodes ago, like verbatim saying what Gandalf is gonna, but in a
Oh my
totally
god.
different way. And
roundabout way, but
yeah, and
yeah.
it's that part I don't like. This I'm good with. Like
And
this
now
sort of
I'm gonna
nostalgia.
say, yeah, because this type of nostalgia, when I rewatch Lord of the Rings now, when I see the prologue, Isildur wielding his dad's blade, I'll be like, oh man, that's Muriel's blade. That's so cool. Like I would have
You
that
mean Aragon,
connection.
right?
No, no, in the prologue, when Isildur picks up his
Oh,
dad's
right, right,
broken
right.
blade and chops off
Yes.
the hand of
Yes, yes,
Sauron,
yes.
I'll be like, oh my god, man, like that's Muriel's blade. Like I thought I get
Yes.
past. But unlike the whole Tom Bombadil, like you said, I wouldn't be doing that. Like, oh, this now? Like, I would immediately just be mad at that scene.
Yeah,
Um, Now I do like though that it does seem like that the Numenor storyline is going to be a bigger focus next season. So I'm hoping they can
it has to
expand
be.
on. It
Yeah.
has to, because we also get a an what's Alfred's son's name? Uh,
Oh,
Keeman, right? Keeman.
Human
Yeah. So we
asshole.
also get, yeah, we'll just call him asshole. We get to see asshole and some men land on the southern shores, and they said we're gonna claim this as a Numenorian outpost.
Outpost, yeah.
So we're now expanding Numenor. Numenor is clawing into Middle Earth, so we have to
Hmm.
have a bigger focus on Numenor next season.
Yeah, yeah, and he said something very ominous. Cut down the trees.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that
You
one we can
would
get
think the
into.
Ents will probably be there.
I hope we get like a Ent versus Numenor plotline next
Yeah.
season. I don't care. I just want to see Ent's story of Keeman. If Keeman's going to go any way, I want him to go the most horrific way
Yes.
possible.
We'll get a Loki-esque death scene.
You
Remember when
want
he's
to you
like the Hulk in Avengers? Like he's
oh
smacking Hulky
puny
Hulk.
Hulk,
Yeah,
puny Hulk. Oh god, yeah.
puny god.
How about we have fun here? Let's spice it up for this part. This before we move to next area. W- Let's fan cast the way we want Keeman to die.
I've already said how I want him to die.
So
One of
for
the
the
Ents
ends,
like
just stepping
pulling
on him.
a Hulk Loki thing. Yes.
I want Saruman, not Saruman, Sauron to like torture and torment that guy, kind of like what he did to Celebrimbor, but within like a couple episodes, and just like just just fucking melt his brain because he's not an elf. He's a human with long life. Just
He's yeah. I think he's just too dumb to get to like
yeah.
that. You know, it's
I
like
don't think he.
sometimes you're dumb to a fault.
No, he's just dumb.
I, it's just dumb, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why I'm shitting on him. He's doing a good job, I guess.
I don't. He's a nepo baby. He got into politics because his dad. I think let's move on to what I think both of our highlights are going to be. So we probably won't nitpick this to death, but the whole Region, end of the siege, the final
Mhm.
like confrontation of Sauron
Yes.
and Galadriel, and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah. Oof. We start off with Celebrimbor. Charles
Well,
Edwards,
before
right?
before we get
Oh,
Charles Edwards. Before we get to Celebrimbor, we have that amazing establishing shot with the orcs, like that one shot with the orcs breaking the gate and running through that hole that they
yeah,
created
yeah,
last
yeah.
episode.
Yeah,
And we
we have
travel
a
and we see like three elves with arrows, two of them dies, one jumps on the rooftop, tumbles into where Celebrimbor's studies at.
yeah.
Oh my god, that
We
was
need more stuff
such a
like that. That was
yeah,
really
like
good.
that was
Yeah.
such a well acted, well choreographed action
Choreographed. Yep.
scene that the show has been missing out on.
Yeah, 100%. And uh, that really hyped me up, only for
Like,
there to be a very meaningful down,
mhm,
which was
Charles Edward, you were
s-
saying
yes, dude, that guy deserves it. Something, man.
he
He's
has
done
to win an Emmy.
such a good job with Calibre. Anyways, Anatar, he actually kills him but sheds a tear. What did you think of that?
I think we've seen all season Sauron has been gaslighting the shit out of Celebrimbor. I
Yeah.
think Sauron is so fucked up in his head that he truly believes what he's saying. That he's torturing Celebrimbor for Celebrimbor's sake because Celebrimbor wants that push. So he's helping
Hmm.
Celebrimbor achieve his goals. I think he's so fucked up in his head that he truly believes that this is a friend of his that he is pushing to help him achieve his goals.
Yeah, yeah. I do think after a very long time, he finally found a friend.
It's probably
And
the only friend he ever had.
maybe. Yeah,
So I
but
mean, it was yeah, and that whole monologue from Kel when he's like saying it and there'll be until there be one, and you will be its slave, and you will be the Lord of the Ring, and I was like, oh my god, that is so like
yeah,
chilling.
yeah, it worked really well.
Hmm.
I think though we should have just extended that scene a little bit longer, in my opinion. I didn't feel complete in a way. It's hard for me to say exactly, but the
I
death of
think
him should have been more impactful,
I think it will be
and I feel it
next season.
wasn't.
Do you know anything about the banner of Celebrimbor?
Yep.
Yeah. Apparently, Charlie Vicker, the guy who plays Sauron, he's
Yeah,
actually
he did.
campaigning to have that in the beginning episode 1.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
think they're gonna go that route, and I think that is going to
It's
be
gonna
that
be
that
very
gut punch
red wedding onto
when
the next
they're
episode
with the
soon.
dire wolf head,
Yep.
yeah, on top of
Hmm.
Rob's party, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So I think we're gonna get that, and I do think that's gonna be the gut punch you want, that impact. You'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel the weight of it now, like yeah. And
Yeah, I
imagine
think
if that
so.
is the opening shot of season 1, 3.
That'd be good.
Because we saw from this episode, the elves kind of are ready to declare war now. They're ready to like create their masses again, and they're ready to start war. So I think and like starting off season 3 with that with the banner scene will imply this is going to be a very bloody episode season. But
Yes.
I'm not going to wish cast further. Let's focus on Eregion.
Yes. And in Aragon, we get all the main elves who are still alive, thankfully,
Hmm.
by some miracle. And we get
How?
an interaction with the orcs and Sauron. It seems like he's manipulating them. And then we also get Adar and Galadriel.
Hmm. That was a great scene.
That was a good scene. That was a good scene. It seemed like her ring, Nenya,
Yeah.
goes ahead and completely removes the darkness put into Adar by Morgoth.
Hmm.
So that was pretty cool. And then he gives the ring back, and the darkness comes back. But his vision is still good. He still wants to
So
destroy Sauron.
yeah, his vision is still good, but he's willing to put aside age-old grievances, and he's willing to create an alliance with the elves, like a long-lasting alliance. And
Hmm.
he said, the moment this war is over, I'll happily retreat to Mordor, and we can live the rest of our days there while you guys do whatever the hell you want elsewhere. And he's ready to put bygones be bygones, but
Hmm.
then what happens?
Yeah, so we get a reminiscent scene of the first episode of the season,
Yeah,
actually.
it's
Yeah,
the
the first
prologue.
15 minutes on
Yeah.
how the orcs go ahead and kill and stab Sauron, but in this case, it's Adar. That scene didn't really work for me.
Really?
Yeah,
Why not?
two reasons. It didn't feel personal enough. Like I wanted this season to create a bond between Adar and maybe a lieutenant that he really trusts, and
Yeah,
they
that was
work
Glug.
together. Eh, I didn't
Glug.
feel it, honestly.
You know, you're
But
not Team Glug on Twitter.
but I think they should have done a more concerted effort at creating a relation with someone, and then
Mhm.
them turning the Brutus moment, stabbing him in the back when he's walking towards Sauron or
Yeah.
something like
So you're
that.
talking about
They
you're talking
didn't
about like an
have
Ollie
to.
from like
Yeah,
Ollie from Game of Thrones, like Jon Snow and Ollie.
exactly. They did
Yeah.
not need to recreate a scene that we've already seen, which was for Sauron. We didn't need that. That's all I'm saying.
Well, minus that whole, I guess, the fact that he's dead. I feel like the turn of the Urks could have been handled slightly better because they just kind
100%.
of, yeah. I
Yeah.
think I
We didn't
think we're
get we
supposed to,
didn't get any interaction. We didn't get any
yeah.
reason.
I think we're supposed to take into it that Sauron like off screen like after he killed Kel, he used his manipulation because these guys are more weaker and
But
it's, I guess,
why not
acceptable.
show it? Right?
That's
Like
what I'm saying.
you're
So
spending
we just need him.
freaking minutes on the hobbits and stuff. Why not show this important stuff?
We just need like him like convincing one. And I
Yes.
think that would have been fine. Like him talking to Glug and said, "Your master deceives you. I'll whatever." And then like you can see that Glug's open his eyes, like his expression changes, like he's being controlled. And then that's all we. And then that would have worked so much better to how Adar dies.
100%. Right? I'm not sure. That scene didn't work for me. It should have, but it
And it
didn't.
sucks because I like Adar as a character. I think he's
Yeah, I
written
think he did a
really.
good job.
He's one of the better written characters in the show. Dare I say? I like his character a lot, and the
I
way
do
he,
too.
yeah, and going out like that just kind of I felt bad for the actor because I feel like the actor because they recasted this guy and he gave such an
Hmm.
amazing performance these last 3 episodes. I kind of wanted to give him more fitting end to the
Agreed.
character he was. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, and then we get our situationship back. Galadriel versus Sauron slash
I did
Anatar
like that
slash
duel.
Halbrand.
I love because he's always says that he goes by many names, and like
Yes.
and Lord of the Rings, we never see a face for how he looks. So I like the fact that this guy he just changes on a whim. He doesn't have like
Yeah.
to do any preparation or any spell. He just changes who he wants to be.
Yep. Yeah,
Because
it worked well.
he even changed into Galadriel at a point,
Yeah.
and that just shows how scary this guy is. Like he can input him into any conversation or any political landscape and just change who he is to appease who he's talking to,
Hmm.
which is probably going to happen in Numenor. Is what I'm thinking. Your smile gave
Yeah.
it away. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say anything more.
Okay. Um. Yeah, I think I just love that and the whole fight scene, the duel between him and Galadriel. I thought that was handled really well. I feel like most of the time the show doesn't have the greatest choreography when it comes to like
Mhm.
action scenes. I think this episode had some of the best choreography we've seen.
So this is what happened to me when I first watched it. I was like, "This is freaking dumb." It's like, how is Galadriel matching Sauron, who is the most powerful being on Middle Earth at the moment? And then I realized something when I rewatched that scene. He wants to convince her. He wants to
Hmm.
change her heart because he actually wants her to fight with him. I was like,
Hmm.
that makes sense. He's not
And
going
that
all out.
plays and that plays into Fellowship of the Ring when we first see Galadriel, and Celeborn, who's not in the show. Where's her husband at?
Yeah,
Anyways, um, when Frodo offers her the ring, he's like, "How about you take it?" And she's like, "And I will be the glorious, most powerful, most wisest queen of the people. You all will bow to me." And she's all
that
evil
scene
looking.
looked weird,
Yeah,
but that makes sense.
now it makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
like no, that scene, yeah, with the inverted colors was weird, but that's why I love this. Like, not the shipping, but I love the manipulation that he's portraying
yes,
with her because it plays so much better for how Fellowship worked out.
I agree. And when you rewatch it with a lens of looking at it through Sauron's eyes instead of
Hmm.
why is this elf woman battling an angelic Sauron?
Yeah,
Because he basically is
yeah, he's an
angel.
angel.
Yeah, so when you look at it as he's genuinely giving him an opportunity here, he's not
Hmm.
actually trying to do anything to her, then you're like, that makes sense.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Um, the only thing I didn't like about that fight scene though was the end when she jumps off the cliff, which I think is supposed to mirror
Yeah.
Elrond jumping off the cliff
Yeah.
as
It's
well.
supposed to mirror a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but when she jumps off, Sauron looks kind of mad, but he doesn't ever go down to try finding the ring or finding her. He just immediately.
Well, because the dwarfs!
But she's like in the outskirts of the city. She's not in the city.
I know. I just wanted
Yeah,
to say it that way
the
because I just
dwarves.
thought it was so funny.
The so have you seen any of the interviews for the show, behind the scenes, or any interviews for Rings of Power?
No, not really.
Okay, so the actor who plays Gil Gallard, Gallard, whatever, he is hilarious. He is like hysterical.
Okay.
And when I saw that, it immediately took me out to how he is in the interviews. I was like, God, that's too funny. Like he broke character, I feel like, for just a second, and they kept it
That
in.
was hilarious. Yeah, no, so yeah, the dwarves come, they save Elrond and the gang. It didn't work for me.
Yeah, I kind of want an extended scene. They just kind
Yeah.
of came out. There was no like big introduction. We just hear the horn off screen when Galadriel and Adar
Hmm.
and Sauron was fighting, and then we go back to the trio, and apparently Erondir is alive.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
Magic.
Okay, so Erondir lives. Cool.
Not
Okay,
only that,
whatever.
he seemed like he had no injuries whatsoever.
Because he gets stabbed twice by Adar.
I don't know. I'll tell you what happened. The writers forgot what happened last episode.
I hate you for that. Do you know the reference to Game of Thrones with that?
No.
Okay, so remember that episode where oof, I gotta remember these names now. Um, when the pirate guy kills Danny's dragon in season 8
Yeah,
in the show, and at the end of the show when the showrunners were giving their thoughts with the episode, they said, "Well, Danny just kind of forgot that Euron was surrounded Dragonstone. Danny forgot that a whole pirate fleet was
oopsie.
like." That's literally what they said, because you know how they had that back and forth, and so I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh yeah,
no.
so why wasn't Danny like scouting ahead?" Well, that Danny just forgot, and I was like, "Oh no, you guys have lost it
It they wrote Danny at the end of those two seasons so
so
badly.
badly, so badly."
Yeah, anyways, that's a whole other
Yeah,
episode that we can definitely do.
but when you
But
said the showrunners forgot that
yeah,
he
I
got stabbed,
genuinely
it
think they
just
forgot that he got stabbed. They
I
didn't
have a
address it
feeling that
once.
I have a feeling that listening to everybody here, and then next season they're gonna open up the same way they did with Bronwyn. He just died off
He
screen.
died.
He died off screen because the injuries he
Yeah.
sustained in
Some
episode 7.
wounds that the orcs do is just you can't deal with it. It's like what the fuck is wrong with you guys?
Meanwhile, we see Galadriel's wings healing people and like healing ourselves. We're not going to
Yeah.
use it on you.
Oh yeah. So we do get a scene of Gil-galad and Elrond saving Galadriel, and that is a nod to a certain area that you love.
Yeah, Riverdale.
Yes.
We actually see it.
And
So that's kind of reminiscent of Elrond saving Frodo from
mhm,
his wounds by
yeah,
the wraiths. Yeah, and then he gets taken to Riverdale, and here we end the episode with the trio and a whole gang of elves who are retreating for Region in this beautiful fall landscape with the river fall and everything, which I'm 100% sure is implying that this is going to be Rivendell
I
down
think
there.
so. With the rivers flowing, it does
Yeah,
definitely seem because Elrond is the one who sets up Rivendell, so
yeah, and that's like it takes us that
it
happens
would
right
be.
after, or not right after, but like seemingly after Aragon falls.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Um,
love Rivendell. It's easily one of the most majestic, angelic places
yeah.
ever. I would 100% live there and never leave.
That's another nice homage done
Yeah,
really well. It fits with the narrative. I
and
really
that's what I'm
like it.
saying. Overall, this episode, if the other episodes didn't ruin it for this episode was so good. It's just the
Yeah.
previous stuff that was set up ruined some of the impacts.
Before we sign off, you know who wasn't very good this season? Who I wish should have been?
Who?
Isildur.
Oh yeah, the one who just decides to try to break up a couple and send her to Numenor with
In
him.
public! In public! Like, it could have been done privately. No, no, no. What are they doing with this character?
I don't know. I was talking to you off screen here earlier, and I was saying they should have done him like the tragic hero, like the guy who's always going to be a hero. He pushes hard, he fights hard, he becomes that big hero, only
Yeah,
to have that dramatic, sad downfall with the ring corrupting him. Instead,
because
he's just an asshole.
currently he's just a dick.
His mom died saving him. He tries to break up
His
a potential
friends get booted
marriage.
off the ship because he was being an asshole.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And he got one of the ships burnt almost. Oh no, he did, right? One of the ships blows up.
I can't remember, but
Yeah,
he's
because he's
just like
fighting Heman on the
what are they
boat.
doing with
Yeah,
his character?
I don't know. I
One
feel
of
like
the
they.
most important characters in this lore. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing with this character?
I feel like they wanted him in this season to have like a I'm growing up phase. Like he didn't really mess up any this season until the last episode. And
Yeah,
if
but
yeah,
we
because this
don't
whole
get much of
season,
him to mess up.
yeah, but the whole season he's trying to save himself. We see how much strength he has. We see the fact
Okay,
that
no,
he's able
hang on.
to.
He did mess up. He did mess up this season. Firstly, he gets stabbed by a woman. Next, he takes Theo, a kid, to go steal his horseback.
Yeah, never mind. He's been selfish this whole season.
It's like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's just bad writing. Like, what are you guys doing with
Because
this?
yeah, when Theo got captured by the ants and could have
Yeah, it's
potentially
like
died
just
by his
bad
yeah.
planning. It's like I don't
Oh,
understand.
one thing I want to mention about Theo, the more I think about it, now that Isildur is on a boat and they're not taking his horse back, they made that clear that Beric is not coming back with them. So he's on the boat back to Numenor. That means Beric is still sitting in the Southlands. And Theo, what does his name remind you of? Theoden, King of Rohan? And the symbol of Rohan is a horse. And I think Beric and him are going to bond a lot the next couple of seasons, and I think he's going to be the one who
Dang,
establishes Rohan, or at least have the
that
ancestry of
would be
Rohan.
really interesting.
It's a far fetch with the whole Theo and
Yeah,
Theron, but I mean it's spelled Theoan
yeah,
or Ian,
that would
whatever.
be
Yeah,
really interesting. And I love Beric. Beric is the best
yeah.
character,
Oh yeah. And if Beric ends up being a symbol for
and
a
the
house that
dog
we
that we
grew.
see with the owls.
Oh yeah, yeah. What's that? I love that Greyhound dog. It's a cutie.
I know.
But yeah. I just think we're gonna we're gonna watch this guy grow into such a powerful leader that he's able to rally everyone that's left in the Southlands to establish a new colony called Rohan.
That would be really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Let's see how they develop Theo.
I feel
A
like
lot
they're
of these
developing
characters
him.
need more time.
That's what we had last episode. Where is the time going? We have
Oh,
an hour 20-minute episodes, and I feel like some of these characters have really been fleshed out. But that's
yeah.
my last thoughts about where I think the year is going. Any last thoughts on your end?
No, I think that's it.
Perfect. Well, I have nothing else either. I think overall it was a great episode. I just
Yep.
want more for the season, and I'm hoping next season they have a whole exodus of new writers coming in. Apparently, like 6 writers were left the project or got fired. I'm not
No.
sure. Yeah, that's a good thing.
We'll see.
I, I think only like 2 are staying on, so I'm hoping with the new writers coming in, there's no
There
writer
needs to be a
strike.
new
I'm hoping.
showrunner too, man. I
Yeah,
I had my issues last episode with the showrunner. I
I'm
still
okay
have
with yeah.
episodes now with the
I
showrunner.
think the act. I still think the acting is great. The character casting is amazing.
Yeah, that's
The art
fine, but
department is fantastic. It's the writing and the
time
story.
management, I
Yeah.
for me that's part of the showrunner's job. Like you've got to have a vision board, see where you want these characters to go. That's how the writers
Imagine
are
if
gonna write the thing, right? I mean, come on.
imagine if this showrunner and writer ran Game of Thrones, it would have taken 10 seasons just for Ned Stark to get to King's Landing to die. And the whole time we're just gonna have him and Rob talking for like 6 episodes straight, and nothing goes on. Then they gonna hate each other, then become friends again, hate each other, then become
Yeah,
friends again.
this show does good things.
Yeah,
Like it does a lot of good things. It's just it's not really coming together, and I think there needs to be someone above who's managing that part of it coming
yeah,
together.
100%, 100%. I'm hoping season 3 is better. That's all we can hope for.
Yeah.
And
Alright.
with that, yeah, I think we're done. It's AK
All right.
signing off.
Yep. Peace.